Characters, themes, words, and promos, let's talk about it all. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this series of videos for Theater 5113 producing the high school play. As usual, we are going to be referring to our text, the director's vision, and hey kids, let's put on a show. So if you would like to check those out, there are links to those books down in the description so you can see them for yourself. But today we're going to be moving on to talking about a lot, really. Now, in the past few videos, we've been talking about some of the best practices in working with your actors and in trying to get characterization correct. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that today by discussing a little bit about character. Part of your vision as a director should be a desire to work with the actors to create characters, to bring characters to life, especially multi-dimensional characters and not just stereotypes. This means that you as the director need to know just as much, if not more, about the characters than the actors themselves. So some of the things you'll need to know about characters are, first of all, their objectives. What are their wants and needs? There's a stated or implied goal, and there's a super objective that runs over the entire course of the play or the character's life. You don't have to make it complicated. You don't have to have a label for everything, just so long as you clearly understand what is the character trying to do. You also need to consider the source of circumstances for the character. What is their situation, their time and place? What's their relationship to the other characters? You can find this through some of the stage directions. Just go by what the playwright tells you. You can go by how the character describes themselves, how other characters will describe this character, and then implied things. What can you piece together just from the little bits of information you're given about the character? Next, look at specific things that you know about the character. What do they look like? What is their mood, their temperament, their mannerisms? Look at their external characteristics like economic, political, social, cultural that makes them what they are. And then look at internally what makes them who they are, their spiritual alignment, moral alignment, religion, ethics. So all of these are going to help create different parts of the character to portray. Look at the character's emotion from scene to scene and over the course of the play. It needs to be honest and it needs to be complex. You don't just have one mood that carries you through the entire show. Look at the character's action. How does that character fit into the main theme of the show? Look at the characters in action. Are there times when they choose not to do something? And can that cause an effect for the other characters? Look at the character's speech. What are they saying? How are they saying it? Look at the word choices. Look at the sentence structure. The playwright wrote their words that way for a reason. And on the other side of that, look at their silences. Can a character not speaking or refusing to speak mean something? And look at the character's place in the play. Every character is going to fit into the story. Yes, even an unnamed ensemble member has a place in the entire story of the show. So how do they fit in? Throughout most shows, you are going to have different character functions. There are specific roles that fit into the plot. Of course, you're going to have your protagonist, the central character. This doesn't mean that they are always the good guy. They are not always the title role. They may or may not achieve their goal in the show. And there could be more than one protagonist. There could be two characters that have the same goal. When you're casting a protagonist, you need to cast based off of how you want your audience to react to that protagonist. Their goals and their blocking are usually going to be the most important thing that you look at over the course of the show. Next, you have the antagonist, and this is the character that exerts the force that keeps the protagonist from reaching their goals. They are an obstacle in the way, and they should be as strong as the protagonist. You'll also have a confidant, and that is a friend and advisor to the protagonist. They should be warm. They should be able to add dimension where the script doesn't, because a lot of times the script will add not so much detail for the confidant. So this gives your actor room to play with the character. So cast someone who is going to dig into that role and make it interesting. You have your foil. They are a contrast to a major character. You'll find this a whole lot in comedies where you'll have maybe a character who is a ladies' man and then their foil who is not so great with the ladies. You'll have someone who is smart and then their counterpart who is not so smart. You need to have a strong character actor there with the willingness to be unappealing or disagreeable. You have to have someone who is willing to not be the pretty role, for lack of a better word. They need to be a role that is interesting. And this can be a challenge for a lot of actors. And your character actors are usually really willing to take this on. Another character you may have in a show is the raisonneur, and that is the voice of reason. They are the voice of the playwright, and they need to be played as sincere. They are the ones that give information to the audience, and so we need to see them as someone who is honest and open and reassuring almost. And then you have your utilitarian characters. They deliver basic information. They'll usually work as part of an ensemble in the show. This is a great opportunity if you want to cast someone just to give them stage experience. And you need to encourage these actors that even if this character does not have a name or they only have 1 or 2 lines in the show, develop an entire character around this. This is great practice for any up-and-coming actor. The important thing is that all of your characters, no matter what role they're playing, they are going to evolve over the course of the play. So you need, as a director, to find ways to show that characters have been changed by their experiences over the course of the show. Chapter 6 of the director's vision takes us into the thought of the play, and that is the meaning of the play. Why did this playwright write this? What were they trying to say? What is their assessment of the world based off of what they've written here? Your vision as a director needs to depend on understanding that and how you personally are reacting to it. It helps if a play speaks to you, if you connect with a play in some way. That helps you develop a vision around it. When you are looking at what is the thought of the play, first of all, you can look at internal evidence, which is things like your subject and your theme. Your subject is, what is the play about? It's usually an abstract concept that can be described in a word or two. And then you have your theme, which is, what is the point of view about the subject? It's usually a statement that will include the play's subject. For example, in the Scottish play, the subject is power. And your theme might be, the greed for power can be destructive. So you see how you have an abstract concept like power, and then you have your theme, which is, what is it about power? There needs to be consistency between plot of the play and the thought of the play. So what is the protagonist's goal, and how does it relate to the subject of the play and the theme of the play? Look at the play's title. Usually that's going to give you some sort of a clue as to what this show is about and how it relates to the overall action of the show. Looking beyond the script, you can find external evidence as to the thought of the show. For instance, look at the playwright's total body of work. Are there similar thoughts and themes going throughout all of their writing? See if the playwright has written any personal observations about the play in any of their other writings. Look at when the playwright lived. What was going on in their world that would color their perception of things and make them write this message? Look at the influences on the playwright. Is there a particular time or author or event that they were really inspired by? How did that relate to what they've written here? Have other directors directed this show and then written about it? You can look at their experiences as well. And finally, look at scholarly or contemporary critical works. Are there articles that were written by scholars or critics about this that would give you a little bit more insight? Chapter 7 talks about the diction of the show. This is not just how you are saying and delivering the lines, it's the playwright's choice of words and phrases. They try to exemplify the way people speak. So look at the emotion of what they've written. The pattern of diction lets you see and feel what the characters are feeling. Look at pronunciation and definitions. If you see some difficult words coming up in the script, make sure that you have looked up how to pronounce these, maybe what they mean, maybe explain everything around it so that your actors know what it is they're trying to say. If there are lines that are repeated often, find a reason why this character keeps repeating a line. There's a reason that it was written in a repetitive form. So help your actors find a subtly different way to deliver the lines every time. Diction also feeds into character. Word choices are an insight into the inner workings of a character. Do they use big words? Do they use small words? Do they speak in short sentences? This can give you a lot of insight into what a character is thinking and feeling. Look into the silences. Sometimes a lack of speech is a powerful reaction. A meaningful silence is usually referred to in the script either by the stage directions or by other characters. So if it's pointed out that there is a silence or someone is not speaking, then that can be a big deal. One that you need to be aware of as a director, and it really gets hammered into your skull as an actor, is subtext, the implied message. What is the character really saying? It's determined by the character's motivation and their line of action through the entire show. Then you have your beats and your thought units. A beat is a single unit of thought or intention. It's measured by the change of the intention. As your character changes what it is they're trying to do, then that's a a shift in how they speak, how they think, and therefore how you're going to block and direct them. If you see that change happening within one speech, that's what's called a thought unit. So as they are speaking, they change their mind and thus change the way that they're going to say things. Usually the longer speech you have, the more thought units there's going to be. Now there are going to be some problems usually looking at what a playwright has written, because the playwright is not really concerned with how easy it is to say the lines or how easy it is to memorize the lines. So sometimes if someone is really having trouble with some lines, you may have to anticipate that ahead of time, give them more time to memorize the lines, or sometimes slow the tempo down if they're just having trouble getting the words out. You also need to maintain a measure of faithfulness to the playwright's words. Straying too far from what they wrote hurts both the playwright and the play. They are very intentional about the words that they have chosen to use, so you need to be sympathetic to what the playwright has done. Moving on to Hey Kids, Let's Put on a Show, Chapter 7 talks about promoting your show. Now, the book goes through a lot of traditional methods, such as having a street team to hang up flyers and posters at local businesses. Make sure that you have their permission before you hang anything up. You can also get special cameo appearances, have someone appear in a small role that maybe takes 1 or 2 rehearsals to put together. It can be a teacher, a local celebrity or politician. It could be one of the parents, but a lot of times just the buzz about getting to see this person in a role on stage is enough to get people in the door. You can send press releases to local newspapers. This works really well if you happen to live in a smaller town. Make sure that in your press release you're including the basic information of who, what, where, how much it costs, and how to contact you. And then there's also the possibility of doing a teaser performance in school. That's selecting a song or a scene from the show to present for the students in school. You can maybe do it during lunchtime. You can have teachers bring kids in at different grade levels in order to see it, and that is a free advertisement to the student body. The book does point out, though, that you need to be particular about the scene that you have chosen, because if a student body can take it the wrong way, they're going to take it the wrong way. So make sure that you are being very selective, making sure that there's nothing that is even remotely suggestive. So now let's talk a little bit about what we've discussed here today. Now, as far as what the director's vision says on character and thought and diction, with all of this, definitely it is great to go in prepared and well researched and so on, but don't overcomplicate it. Just get the information that you need in order to help create your vision and make it more honest and realistic and doable. But don't overwork yourself to the point where you're micromanaging everything that your actors are doing, because hopefully your actors are doing some of this research as well and looking into some of the research that you've gotten. If you overwhelm them with too much research, that's just going to be a lot for them to deal with, and they're already having to deal with memorizing lines and memorizing blocking. So you don't want to weigh the production down by over researching. And plus, this doesn't give your actors as much freedom to kind of explore the character for themselves and see what they can come up with and try things in different ways. So try not to overcomplicate things by over researching. It's good to have an idea of the world of the play, of where the playwright is coming from. What is the overall theme? Because that is going to inform a lot of the ways that you choose colors for the set and choose lighting and the way certain lines need to be delivered. But you also need to leave some of it to your actors as well. This is the way that they learn, is by exploring the characters for themselves. So be prepared to inform, but not absolutely dictate what they are doing. Moving on to what Hey Kids, Let's Put on a Show talks about promoting your show. A lot of it is just focused on traditional methods. There's not really a whole lot of modern technology that is explored in the chapter, which I think almost every theater program is doing right now. And this was written at a time when social media was definitely a thing. So I'm wondering why it wasn't really talked about or explored in the book. But there are certain ways that you can figure out to promote your show through social media. I know almost every theater program around where I live has a presence on Facebook or Instagram, sometimes both. And just getting pictures out of the kids rehearsing and the cast working on the set and just all of that, getting out that into the public can create buzz for the show. Also, in all the theaters that I work with, they have an email list so that at the top of every season, you get a list of everything that's going to be coming out that season, what the dates are for production, so people can go ahead and start to make plans of what they want to go see. As we get closer to show, we get more information about that specific show, who's cast in it, how much it's going to cost for tickets, how close we are to selling out, because I know in a few theater programs I've worked with, we've had sellout shows. And so letting people know if we're adding extra performances to accommodate for sold out shows. So there's so much that you can do with more technology. Just having an email list, having a social media presence, that can go a long way in advertising your show. Now, you don't want to oversaturate people to the point where they get sick of hearing from you, but this is definitely a way that people are communicating now. And so this is definitely something that I think theaters need to really work on, is on their social media and online presence in advertising their stuff. So there you go. That is this week's discussion. I hope you found this interesting or helpful. And again, if you would like to see the texts that we are using and referencing in this series, then those are going to be down in the description below, so you can check them out for yourself. But for now, that's the end, and I will catch you in the next video. And scene.